Sasa huyu Mungu Janus ni Mungu gani?
So I want to talk about something a little strange at the outset. It will be to some, which is to talk about the symbolism of the month of January and its original namesake, which is the god Janus. Talk about pagan symbolism so much, but here I think meditating and pondering on the pagan symbolism will help us understand even some of the Christian symbolism which appears at around this time. And so January, of course, is named after the god Janus. The god Janus is the god of thresholds. He is the god of doors, the god of transition, the god of in-between, right? And so you can understand why the symbolism of his representation is to show him with two faces, one face going one way, the other face going the other way. And you can understand it in different ways. People will interpret it sometimes and say, it's the past and the future. Sometimes you can see Janus with three faces, with one in the middle too. So it's like the past, the future, and the present. That is a good way to understand it. But a better way to understand it is the symbolism of thresholds themselves, the symbolism of the transition between two spaces, the ambiguity of that transition. There a lot of superstitions about thresholds can be understood that way. Because the threshold is in some ways, a place that is neither inside nor outside. And it has to be indefinite, by its very nature, because the marginal line between inside and outside doesn't actually exist physically, right? It's an imaginary boundary, and that boundary actually has no space in physically. Like if you tried to actually trace the exact line of where your house ends and begins, you wouldn't be able to find it exactly, because there's always more. You can always crush it more and more until at some point it's actually just a virtual line that separates the inside and the outside. And that's why usually there's all these superstitions about threshold, which is the idea that you shouldn't step on the thresholds. There are many traditions where stepping on the threshold of a door is bad luck. And so you should always step over the threshold in order to not step into the ambiguity, you could say, get trapped in Zeno's paradox, where you can't actually define where the middle, where something starts and something ends. There's this kind of indefinite quality about the quality of inside and outside, which is related. And so this idea of Janus as this character that has two sides, as being the threshold, as being both inside and outside at the same time, you could say, or neither, representing both aspects of the transition. And so sometimes Janus is represented this way, which is that, it's usually the same head that is on either side. And then sometimes Janus is represented with difference between the different heads. And so there are different ways to do it. Sometimes it's masculine and feminine. Sometimes it is an older man and a younger man. Sometimes it is, in this case, for example, that you see here, you see that it is a man and some kind of fantastical creature with horns, with pointy ears like a fawn. And so some kind of wild creature of the forest. And so all of these are helping you to kind of understand that what it is, it's about a contrast. So think about this image here as being something like inside and outside. That is the man and the forest, the man and the monster, the inside and the outside. In the same way, you can see that if you understand it in time, you can understand it as youth and age. It really is about the problem of even like you could say that the place where past and future meet is an ambiguous space because it's looking in both directions at the same time. So you can understand this threshold or this door as being something which is also always there, which is always something that we kind of have access to in terms of, for example, in terms of time, but in terms of any identity that has a marginal line, that has a difference between the inside and outside, which is basically everything. But what's mostly important to understand is how this is related to this time of the year, right? And so this time of the year, which is the time of around the winter solstice, the time which is the moment when the days get the darkest and now the sunlight is starting to appear. There are all these feasts that are kind of all cramped together that aren't exactly at the same time, all these celebrations that are related to the transition between the old and the new, the transition between the darkness and the light, the transition between the old year and the new year. And so this is also part of the symbolism of Christmas, which is why I bringing it up.
We see that the ruling agents would claim legislative authority so as to change times and laws, clearly referring to a man-made system that would hide established times and laws of the Most High. But why? What are they trying to hide? Genesis 1:14-18. And Elohim said, "Let lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and appointed times, and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth." And it came to be so, and Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars also. And Elohim set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. The early Roman calendar consisted of 10 months and 304 days, which each new year beginning at the vernal equinox. According to tradition, it was created by Romulus, the founder of Rome in the 8th century BC. A later king, Numa Pompilus, is credited with adding the months of Januarius and Februarius. Did you know? In order to realign the Roman calendar with the sun, Julius Caesar had to add 90 extra days to the year 46 BC when he introduced his new Julian calendar. This ancient Julian calendar, which went through a few refinements in the year 1582 by Roman Catholic Pope Gregory XIII, is now known as the Gregorian calendar. In medieval Europe, Christian leaders temporarily replaced January 1st as the first of the year with days carrying more religious significance, such as December 25th, the anniversary of Jesus' birth, and March 25th, the Feast of Annunciation. Pope Gregory XIII re-established January 1st as the New Year's Day in 1582. The practice of making resolutions for the new year is thought to have first caught on among the ancient Babylonians, who made promises in order to earn the favor of the gods and start the year off on the right foot. They would reportedly vow to pay off debts and return borrowed farm equipment. January 1st, however, remains from more than 2,000 years ago as the beginning of the Roman year, a creation of the Roman Empire. Janus, the Roman god of doors, gates, and transitions. The month of January is named after an ancient Roman god named Janus, who was the Roman god of doorways and archways, depicted as having two faces, as the Romans believed he looked at the future as well as the past. In Roman mythology, Janus acted as
huyu Janus ambaye umeona hapo mwenyewe anasherekewa ndani ya kanisa la Waadventista Sabato kwa mfumo wa mwaka mpya. Kwa mfumo wa mwaka mpya. Sasa ni nani? Na chimbuko lake ni wapi? Na alikuwa anabudiwaje? Tujaribu kuangalia namna wenzetu, yani wa Roma, kwa sababu ni Mungu wa Waroma. Alikuwa ni Mungu wa Waroma, lakini pia ni Mungu wa Waroma. Wao walikuwa wanamchukuliaje? Tumwangalie huyu Janus kwa undani zaidi, kwamba alikuwa anachukuliwaje. Huyu Janus ni kwamba kama hivyo kisha kuambia kwamba huyu ni Mungu wa Waroma. Ni Mungu wa Waroma ambaye yeye ndiye alikuwa ni Mungu wa kwanza kwao. Yaani kwenye listi ya miungu yao yote. Hata kama wawe na miungu 600 miangapi, lakini yeye alikuwa ni Mungu wa kwanza, yani Mungu wa herufi ndogo. Kwa Waroma walimchukulia kama Mungu wao wa kwanza kuliko miungu yao yote. Tutaona kwa nini walimchukulia hivyo. Cha kwanza, huyu Mungu Janus ambaye Waroma walikuwa wanamwabudu na wanamwabudu hata sasa, alikuwa ni Mungu wa mianzo ya siku. Yaani unapoamka asubuhi, maombi yalikuwa yanaenda kwake kabla ya miungu yote ya Waroma. Lakini pia alikuwa ni Mungu wa mianzo ya mwezi. Kwa kila mwezi ukianza, basi ibada zilikuwa zinamuelekea nani? Yeye. Lakini pia alikuwa ni Mungu wa mwanzo wa mwaka. Alikuwa ni Mungu wa mwanzo wa mwaka. Kwa kila mwaka unapoanza, basi Waroma walikuwa wanapeleka ibada kwa huyu Mungu Janus, kwa huyu Mungu Janus. Na kama hivyo nilivyosema kwamba miungu mingine walikuwa wanaifanyia ibada, ila huyu alikuwa ni wa kwanza. Lakini pia alikuwa anazingatiwa kama Mungu wa pekee kwa Waroma. Ndio maana alikuwa anachukuliwa kama ni Mungu wa kwanza. Kwa hiyo katika miungu yao yote Waroma walikuwa wanamchukulia kama ndiye Mungu wao wa pekee kuliko miungu mingine. Haya. Lakini pia alikuwa anaombwa mwanzoni mwa sherehe. Kwa kama ulikuwa una ndoa, ulikuwa na sherehe fulani, wapagani walikuwa na ibada za kuzaliwa, basi huyu Mungu Janus alikuwa anaombwa. Kama wewe unavyoanza kuomba unapoanza kula chakula, au unapoanza kwenda kulala. Kwa hiyo huyu Janus katika sherehe yoyote ile, Waroma walikuwa wanaanza kumuomba yeye kwanza kabla ya miungu mingine. Lakini pia alikuwa anaombwa ili kuhakikisha matokeo mazuri katika safari mbalimbali za kibiashara. Kwa wafanyabiashara nao walikuwa wanamuomba huyu Janus ili afanikishe kule wanakoenda waweze kufanikiwa katika mianzo yao ya biashara. Kwa kila aliyekuwa kila mfanyabiashara aliyekuwa anataka kuanza biashara, huyu Janus alikuwa anatangulizwa kwanza. Lakini pia alikuwa ni mlinzi au mwangalizi wa karibu. Huyu Janus, huyu Mungu wa mwaka mpya huyu, alikuwa anachukuliwa kama ni mwangalizi, the guardian, mwangalizi wa karibu wa watu kuliko miungu mingine. Lakini pia jambo lingine, alikuwa anahusishwa pia na mielekeo mbalimbali. Kama mtu alikuwa anataka kuelekea sehemu fulani, basi kwanza ni lazima amtangulize huyu Mungu Jano. Lakini pia alikuwa anaaminiwa kutoa baraka kwa wale wanaosafiri kutoka sehemu moja kwenda sehemu nyingine. Walikuwa wanamwamini kwamba yeye anatoa baraka. Lakini pia alihusishwa katika uzazi. Mwana mzaliwa wa kwanza alikuwa ni kwamba alikuwa anahusishwa na huyu Mungu Janus.